Let's get Swapan Dasgupta into it.
Look,
this was a motion.
No, why don't you teach us a lesson?
No, one second.
I am openly saying, why don't you teach us a lesson then?
I'm not going to get caught into that trap of yours. I'm not interested. I'm only asking today, why is Pakistan passing an assembly resolution? Okay, there's a lot of internal politics. I understand. There is pressure on your country.
It's not internal politics.
But you must. But the simple point, Kamal Sibal, is that Pakistan must realize that the process it is exposing itself as a terrorist state. Why are they taking the gamble?
India must realize that until the core issue is solved about Kashmir, Pakistan will always be concerned. And we will always support Kashmiris for their just right.
There is nothing to solve in Jammu and Kashmir.
Not a terrorist.
There is nothing. Arnab, there is nothing to solve in Jammu and Kashmir except to wrest back the territory that was seized by Pakistan in 1948. That is the only thing that is to be solved.
Kamal Sibal's response to Admiral Javed. Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, I think the level of the debate that is taking place is, to my mind, extremely poor and low, because the kind of things I hear from Pakistani side is a language that perhaps was spoken 20-30 years ago. And if they truly represent a significant current of thinking in Pakistan today, then I think we have some very clear lessons to learn. Because the kind of hatred, the kind of venom, the kind of irrational attitude towards India, irrational attitude towards terrorism, still talking the language of confounding terrorists and freedom fighters. We had hoped that this phase of Pakistani thinking had actually was over now, and that we were now looking at improving our relationship in whatever way possible. There are a few lessons to be learned from what has happened, and we should learn them seriously. One, that by a resolution of this nature, Pakistan is clearly now saying that they are going to back terrorism and terrorists in India. Number two, that they are now trying to stoke flames in Jammu and Kashmir by trying to aggravate feelings there and exploiting the sections of the public in Jammu and Kashmir, which is feeling strongly about Jammu and Kashmir. They want to add fuel to the fire. Thirdly, they are also implicitly admitting that they were behind the attack on the Indian Parliament. Number four, to actually argue that they're not interfering in the internal affairs of India, even when the Parliament was attacked, I think is a totally unconscionable argument. It's not a serious argument at all. Now, what we should then do in return, first of all, is to start actually realizing that there is no difference between the political establishment in Pakistan and the military establishment in Pakistan. They are the same people with the same kind of thinking. And therefore, this business that somehow the civilians are more interested in befriending India and it's the military and the ISI standing in the way. If one is to believe the kind of things that we are hearing from these two gentlemen and understand the implications of the resolution that has been passed, it is clear that there is no distinction. There is no distinction.
Well, there isn't.
Now,
there isn't. But you know,
we should now pass a parliamentary resolution here condemning the parliamentary resolution in Pakistan. And number two, we should begin to start passing resolutions on what is happening in Balochistan and the killing of Shias and all the terrorism that is occurring in Pakistan from the human rights angle. Because if they want to play the game of interfering in our internal affairs, we can also play the game of interfering in their internal affairs.
Well, I mean, the human rights...
I hope we will not go down this road and that somehow Pakistan will begin to realize that the game that they started playing is a very dangerous one. And they should not believe that they have now a sufficient political space because of developments in Afghanistan to start once again stoking terror against India. This is a very dangerous road down which they want to go.
And what we are talking about today, which is why I would request Admiral Javed Iqbal, with all respect, I have great respect for you, but there is no point. There's no point in being pugilistic beyond a point. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, this is going to come back to haunt you. Swapan Dasgupta, we've seen deliberate and open provocation from the Pakistani side. is ignoring everything that's coming from Pakistan, including the resolution in Islamabad today, any alternative that we can look at? How should we respond, in your view?
You see, there is one aspect of the Admiral's otherwise rather bellicose intervention, which I seem to agree with, and which is that India is actually very weak. And I think more than anything else, the fact that the Pakistan Assembly, for whatever reasons, has chosen to pass a resolution which actually condones and celebrates someone who wanted to blow up and lay siege to the Indian Parliament is very indicative. It shows, coming immediately after another country decides that the Supreme Court is of no use and the Indian Supreme Court can be flouted, it shows that far from being a plaything, India has actually become perceived as a bit of a football in the region. You can kick it if you want to, and you know it's not good. So it's this perception of weakness, of vulnerability, of someone who is out to do anything you can to placate the most irascible regime for the sake of an elusive peace dividend. I think that impression has come and been entrenched very, very strongly in the minds of certain neighbors. And I think in that context, what India has done so far is that we will continue this peace process uninterrupted and uninterruptible, despite any provocation, despite earlier it used to be said that these were non-state actors. Now it's quite clear that the non-state actors seem to have the blessings of the state players themselves. So the division has been obliterated to a very large extent. Yet we choose to conveniently ignore whatever doesn't suit a predetermined mindset, which is that, we are really estranged neighbors. We are somewhere, we were once a joint family, and, we are just sort of separated by an artificial wall. I think really, after 60 years, the two countries have evolved in a very, very different way. And the commonalities, while there may be commonalities, I think are becoming less and less and becoming, we've had gush things about people going to some Karachi literary festival because they sang Raghupati Raghava there. Yes, touching. And I'm glad it's done there. But let's be talking about the fact that the state of Pakistan is today, we are talking of a rogue state. We are talking about what Naipaul once called a criminal enterprise. And let's be very clear about this. So I think the fault to a very large extent lies in India for those who expect otherwise. And I think how many times is this illusion going to be shattered? And yet we fall back and we still have a constituency. I mean, if Manmohan Singh wants to go to Pakistan, and I do respect he has every right to visit a place or a village where he was born in, I can understand for sentimental reasons. Let's not attach a larger diplomatic significance or take a diplomatic baggage with it. Let's call it ordinary tourism.
Sure.
Because in the moment you're attaching political significance, you are going to be disappointed and you're going to get angry.
Yeah.
But what are you getting angry?
Yes,
I'm not angry.
See,
I expected it.
Yes, sure. But Mr. Hilali, 210 political activists were killed in Balochistan in 2012. 19 journalists were killed, I'm sure you know, in Balochistan, and 3 human rights defenders. In fact, your own Human Rights Commission has called these disgusting violations of human rights. Despite these disgusting violations of human rights in Balochistan, exposed by most people, these what people in Pakistan call kill and dump operations of the people of Pakistan, increasing number of bodies found on roadsides having been shot in the head. The Indian Parliament has desisted from passing a resolution on Balochistan because it does not want to upset this process. You, on the other hand, as in your government, has taken political posturing to a ridiculous level today. Your Parliament Assembly is coming to the end of its term, but look at what you've done today. You see the mood today, Zafar. You have ruined it all. And after today, I don't I don't think the government in Pakistan has any business expecting candy floss treatment from India. You heard Sapan Das Gupta.
Now we've listened to 15 minutes of Indian monologues. First of all, let me start off by telling you that to equate Balochistan with Kashmir, an idiot will tell you that it is not possible. Balochistan is not disputed territory. Balochistan
and
is
that's
a part
why
of
I'm
Pakistan.
not saying it. Thank you.
And neither the UN nor has India ever said that Balochistan is not a Pakistan. So for you to pass a resolution on Balochistan...
On the human rights violations in Balochistan, why are you getting provoked?
Now wait a minute.
Why are you getting provoked? I'm talking about human rights violations in Balochistan.
If you are talking about human rights violations, if you're talking about human rights violations, then I think that you will admit that a lot of Indians have said that the hanging of Afzal Guru was deplorable. The way his trial was conducted, in fact, the judge of the Supreme Court who hanged him said society expects him to pay the highest
It's none of your business.
Now that none of
your business.
Well, you've just said it's human rights. So Balochistan is your business, but this is not our business. Even on that plane,
there will be a fitting response.
Even on that plane, you stump yourself. Now forget about all this. I would like to know this gentleman who spoke about eternal enemy and all that. Can you please identify which of the fringe groups he belongs to, which your home minister so conveniently identified for the rest of the world as being the major cause of terror in India? Can you tell me that gentleman with the beard and a moustache, which of the groups does he belong to? Now, if you are starting to recruit your panelists from these groups, which I suggest you also have an affinity, a moral affinity with.
Yes.
How are you ever going to get the dialogue process? You don't want dialogue? Well, then say so. Look, we've got the point now.
What dialogue?
We've come to the conclusion that
Chandan Mitra is responding now, please.
That whenever
he's responding, listen to him.
When he's responding,
listen to him.
A mountain.
Listen to him. You asked him to respond. Let him respond. Go ahead, Chandan Mitra.
I don't belong to any fringe group. I don't belong to any fringe group. I belong to the main opposition party in India. I'm a member of parliament from
you
the
should
BJP,
consider yourself. You should consider yourself the prospective head of one.
Let him respond.
The government in waiting. You will have to deal with the BJP government in waiting in 2014.
Well, I certainly hope you have to wait a long time, my friend.
Habibi, I see. So now you're going to predict our election outcomes in India as well.
So I don't know.
Now let me tell you that it is very clear to me.
No, I'm not predicting.
Here
I'm hoping that you have a long wait.
Agent of the Taliban. You are an agent of the Taliban.
Thank you. That's why I get death threats from the Taliban, because I'm an agent of the Taliban. I mean, honestly,
you're proud of it.
What have you got upstairs? You've got a top story to let.
The debate. No, what's it? Zafar Ilaili, there's no point. That's not. Don't get provoked. Don't get provoked. I am trying.
I wouldn't have had you not made these absurd remarks. You don't know anything about India, so I suggest you kindly refrain from commenting about India and Indian.
Well, I think the BJP is an extremist group.
1 minute,
I think the
please.
BJP
Zafar Ilaili,
harbors a lot of extremism.
Zafar Ilaili, I will not allow you to try and hijack this debate, so let's come back. Please, 1 minute, gentlemen. Now, I want to tell our Pakistani friends a sequence of events. You didn't answer the question, that's all right. I can understand that you must have got very provoked on Balochistan. The whole world's talking about Balochistan, sir. And probably more people will in the future. I'm only very curious. Maruf.
Akbar Ahmed Bukti, whom your government killed, wasn't he a freedom fighter?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, your hero is our traitor, and our traitor is your hero.
What about...
Isn't that obvious? And it's been so forever.
What about Masood Azhar? Is your hero? He tried to assassinate... Masood Azhar is your hero?
No, Masood Azhar is not my hero. He is not my hero.
He's not your hero. Excellent. Then can you tell me why Masood Azhar...
How come?
No, 1 minute. Can you tell me why Masood Azhar was arrested and then quickly released within 11 months? And is it true the same Masood Azhar went on to try and assassinate Musharraf later? Come on, sir. Who tried to assassinate Musharraf, Maruf?
To me how Afzal Guru, who handed himself into the Indian police, Afzal Guru, who actually voluntarily surrendered.
So the people
and
for whom
there is nothing against him, how was he found out?
Maruf,
listen, don't go into these things.
Maruf, is it not true that the same Masood Azhar, who was released during the IC-814 attack, was arrested and released in Pakistan, has a link to the parliament attack and went on to try and kill Musharraf. Thereby it is proven today, sir, that the person you are passing a resolution for in your assembly tried to assassinate your president.